Hey guys, welcome to Taffy Hoops. My name is David. You'll see Landon later in the video, but today we are doing a top 25 under 25 tier list. Next week or whenever Landon's finger heals, we will be doing a one-on-one basketball game, and subscribe if you don't want to miss out on that. Comment any punishment for the loser. The one with the most likes will be the one that is chosen for the loser. And if you have any challenges that we should do in the future, please put those in the comment section below also. Now let's get on to the video.
So first you're going to see my tier list, and then you'll see Landon's. Just a disclaimer, there are 50 players in this player pool, so most of these, or at least half of these players will be not in the not top 25. So don't be mad if your favorite player is in this list. I know Landon's favorite player will not be in my top 25. So just be ready for that. Your player might not be in that top 25. So the first player, Bam Adebayo, I do have him in my top 25. I actually have him as a borderline superstar and all-star. So I will put Bam Adebayo in the superstar category, but probably in the late superstar category. And Jarrett Allen, I do have him on my list. I have him as a solid starter. Cole Anthony, I do not have him on this list. OG Anunoby, I do not have him on this list. Deandre Ayton, I do have him as a borderline all-star on my list. I have him as the 19th ranked player on this list, so I could have him as a solid starter. I think I will do that, actually. So he will be in that solid starter list. Marvin Bagley, I do not have on this list. LaMelo Ball, I do have as a solid starter in front of Jarrett Allen, but behind Deandre Ayton. Lonzo Ball, I have him slightly off this list. He was my 26th ranked player. RJ Barrett was close. He did not make my list, sadly. I think he's been playing a lot better this season than last season. Malik Beasley, I don't have him on this list. So most of these players will not be on this list. Devin Booker, I have him as an all-star at my 11th ranked. Macau Bridges, I do not have him on this list. Miles Bridges, I don't have on this list. Jalen Brown, I do have him on this list. I do put him as a superstar. So one of those late superstars also. Jaylen Brunson, I have him not on this list. Same with Wendell Carter and Brandon Clark. John Collins, I have him as a borderline all-star at 17th ranked. Terence Davis, I have him not top 25. Same with Dante Vincenzo. Luka Doncic, I have him ranked number 1 on this list for obvious reasons. He will be a superstar. Anthony Edwards, he's been playing well this rookie season. I just can't see him on this list. De'Aaron Fox, I have him on this list. I'd say a rounded borderline all-star. I'd say I have him at 15, so I have him slightly above John Collins. Markelle Fultz, I don't have on this list, probably mostly due to injury. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I have him as a all-star right here at 13. Tyrese Halliburton, I have him not on the top 25, even though I have liked his performance so far as a rookie. Tyler Hero, I have him as a solid starter, but I don't think he is close to that all-star level yet. I need to have him right there in between Ayton and LaMelo Ball. Brandon Ingram, I see him. He could be a superstar one day, but right now I have him as an all-star. I think he's a solid all-star. He definitely will be in the all-star conversation. I wouldn't be surprised if he balls out in the all-star game also. Lowry Markkanen, I do not have him as my top 25. He was one of those players that I was debating putting in this list. Tyrese Maxey, he's been playing well for the Philadelphia 76ers, but he does not play well enough to earn a spot on this list. Donovan Mitchell, I do have him as one of those superstars right in front of Bam Adebayo. Ja Morant, I have him as a clear-cut all-star right here. The only reason I don't have him as an all-star, if you look at our last video, is because of how he has not played enough games. DeJounte Murray, I have him as a solid starter right in front of LaMelo Ball. Jamal Murray, I have him as a borderline all-star right in front of De'Aaron Fox. If you looked at his playoff stats last year, or even watched any of his games, you saw how dominant he was in those playoffs. Isaac Okoro, I have him as a Cleveland Cavalier rookie. He's been playing well, but not well enough to be in this top 25. Michael Porter Jr., I do see some star flashes out of him, but he has to be more consistent and more of a better defender. So I do not see him in this top 25. Manuel quickly could be a starting point guard on the New York Knicks, but it's the New York Knicks. So it'll be difficult for me to put him on the top 25. Mitchell Robinson, I was debating whether I should put him or Jarrett Allen on this list, and I decided to put Jarrett Allen on this list because of the more offensive approach from Jarrett Allen. I just believe he's a better offensive player. Their defense is very similar. I put Jarrett Allen on this list instead of Mitchell Robinson. D'Angelo Russell, I see him as a borderline all-star sometimes, but his defense makes it hard for me to put him in the all-star category, so I will put him as a borderline all-star right behind John Collins. Oh, sorry. I have him right behind John Collins. John Collins has balled out this year. I just don't see D'Angelo Russell being in front of him. Domantas Sabonis, I think he's a clear-cut all-star. I don't see any reason why he shouldn't be an all-star this year. He's been playing really well this year, and I don't see any problems with – I see some problems. Like, he could be better at many different things, but as a Pacer fan, there's not much more you could ask out of him. Colin Sexton, I think he's a borderline all-star this year, right behind Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I know Landon had him in the all-star conversation. I actually would put him as a borderline all-star right here behind Shai. Ben Simmons, even though I don't think he's an all-star this year, he's been an all-star so many times that I can put him in this all-star category and not have people offended by it. Jayden Tatum, I will put him as a second best player on this list. He's definitely a superstar. He has missed games. He's definitely deserving of the superstar category, at least for the under 25. So this is superstar compared to players under 25. Like, I wouldn't consider Bam Adebayo and Jalen Brown superstars with the whole league, but if you're playing against guys under 25, then these guys are definitely superstars. Matisse Thybulle, I have him in my not top 25. Sorry, Landon. I just don't see why he is better than any of these players. Miles Turner, I may be biased, but I put him slightly in front of Jarrett Allen. I just think his versatility on offense makes him a better player than Jarrett Allen. PJ Washington, I do not have him on this list. He was one of those players that I debated to put on this list, but I did not. Kobe White, I just don't think he's good enough on defense to warrant a place on the list. Patrick Williams just hasn't shown enough for me to put him on the list. Zion Williamson is a weird case. I have him right here, even though I don't think he will be an all-star this year. He's shown so much potential to be an all-star, and I think if he boosts up the defense a bit, he will definitely be an all-star this year. Or not this year even. I don't think he will be this year, but next year he will definitely be a starter if he picks up the defense, which he has done at Duke all the time. Like, that's what we saw out of him, and that's what we thought would happen in the NBA, but it just has not translated yet. With James Wiseman, I do have him as a solid starter. He's the second rookie on this list, and I think is the one of two rookies, LaMelo Ball and James Wiseman. I think those are the obvious two best rookies in this class. It's hard for me not to put him on this list. And then Trey Young, I have him as a clear-cut all-star, even though it's difficult because he doesn't play defense well at all, but his offense just overpowers so well that I have to put him in this all-star category. Let's go on to Landon's video or tier list.
Hi guys, it's Landon. So I'm sure you're coming from David's video, and so you know what's going on. We're ranking the top 25 NBA players under the age of 25, and so this is just going to be my view on who I think is the top 25 in the NBA under the age of 25. And so starting off, we have Bam Adebayo. I think he's a superstar. I think he can lead a team, and even though the speed of his team doesn't reflect that right now, it's just all messed up because of a certain disease. And so for that, I think he's a superstar. Jarrett Allen, he's a solid starter because I just think on that Cavs team, he's just a solid part of that core, and he's a solid starter. Cole Anthony doesn't make it for me just because he's young and hasn't been in the league long enough to make that much of an impact. OG Anunoby, as much as I want former IU grad. Well, I don't even know if he's a graduate, but he went to IU. I want to have him on the list. He just doesn't make it for me. Deandre Ayton, I almost don't want to put him on the list just because how he has been playing this season, but he's figuring it out, and so he definitely deserves a solid starter. And by the end of his career, he'll be somewhere up here. Marvin Bagley, just because of injuries in his career, he doesn't make top 25 for me, and he's not on top 25 for me. LaMelo Ball, even like Cole Anthony, he's a rookie this year. He has made a huge impact on his team. He's making records like youngest triple-double or a career high he just had a few nights ago as of recording this video. And so Devin Booker, he's close to a franchise superstar, but he just doesn't make it for me. He could be up here, but he's not for me right now. Macau Bridges, he doesn't make it for me. He almost made it. He almost made it to solid starter, but he just doesn't, just because there's so many mouths in that offense to feed. And so for that reason, he doesn't make it. Miles Bridges, the Hornets team, I say, made that team into a way better team, but they're still not a great team. And Miles Bridges isn't even the, best on that team. He's not even, he's, third-ish, debatably. And so for that reason, he's not top 25 because he's third on a not even great team. Jaylen Brown, he's definitely an all-star. He's gonna be. I will be shocked if he's not an all-star this year just because of the number he's putting up, and he's definitely an all-star. Jaylen Brunson, as much as he is a short king. Shout out to Kenny. He just doesn't make top 25 for me. Wendell Carter, he just hasn't shined. He hasn't been shining as a Bull. And I'm not saying that it's because he's a Bull, but he just hasn't been great in his career. Brandon Clark, I don't know. I don't really know what to say other than he just doesn't make it for me. John Collins, he does make it for me. He's just good for that Hawks team, and I don't know what to other say because he really just is a solid player on that team. Terence Davis, he doesn't make it for me just because the Raptors team is just not doing good this year at all. Dante Vincenzo, he doesn't make it for me just because he's never been crazy impactful on that Bucks team. Luka Doncic, I don't need to say anything. Anthony Edwards, I want to put him on this list as the number one overall pick, but just when your team's doing as bad as it is, he doesn't really deserve it. De'Aaron Fox, I think he could get an all-star appearance this year, and so because of that, he gets it for me. Markelle Fultz, he probably would be in a solid starter or even borderline all-star if it wasn't for his injury, and so for that reason, but because of his injury, he's not in it for me. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he's leading his team, and even though his team is bad this year, he could be an all-star this year, and I also wouldn't be surprised if he's an all-star. And so because of that, I'm keeping him. I think he's a borderline all-star. Halliburton, the thing is, I just don't see him getting past the point of a really solid starter in his career, and I just don't think that he's just not in the top 25 as age division yet. He could be in a few years, but he's just not now. A hero is going to be a bit controversial, but I personally think he's kind of overrated right now, definitely right now. And so he's just a solid starter for me. I don't think he's close to being an all-star, really. And so, yeah, but I think he is in it for his division, but barely. He's overrated, in my opinion. Brandon Ingram, he is, I think, also controversially, I think he's the greatest player. I think he's the best player on his team. And so because of that, he's a superstar, in my opinion. And he's doing great things on that team. So I think he deserves his spot as a superstar. Lowry Markkanen, he hasn't really had an outbreak season, and he's had horrible career. He has had horrible seasons of his career, and so for that reason, he doesn't make it for me. Tyrese Maxey, he's had a few good games, like the 40-point game or whatever he had, but he's just not up there yet for me. Donovan Mitchell. I think he is somebody who Shaq might disagree, but I think as a rookie, he's been great for that team, and so he's a franchise player in my opinion. His team's number one in the West right now, which is hard to do, but he's leading that team, and so that gets you as a superstar franchise player. John Morant, I think he definitely would have been an All-Star. I think he might be an All-Star this year, but definitely would have been an All-Star this year if it wasn't for his injury, and because of that, he's an All-Star for me. Dante Murray, he's a solid starter. I love him on the defensive side of the ball, and he does what he needs to do on the offense side of the ball. Jamal Murray, I put him in All-Star or borderline All-Star because I don't see him making an All-Star this year, but I see him at some points in his career making an All-Star, but never consistently getting an All-Star appearance. Maybe like anywhere from like 1 to 4 appearances. Isaac Okoro, he's just not he's not the greatest player on that Cavs team, and so even though that Cavs team is pretty good, but he's young and he's not old enough to decide on that yet. So yeah, he's not on that for me. Michael Porter Jr., he's great offensively, scoring like 18, 16 points, but he's just horrible defensively. And I can't get behind putting someone on top 25 if they're that bad on defense and just don't try on defense like he does. Manuel quickly, I don't really watch a lot of Knicks basketball, but I know he's really impactful for his team. But because I don't watch a lot of Knicks basketball, I just can't really put him in. But as I say, I can't put him in. I actually am going to put Mitchell Robinson in, is because I know that Knicks team is one of the greatest defense teams in the league, and Mitchell Robinson is that driving force on defense, and so he gets this spot for me. Deandre Russell, I almost don't want to put him in top 25 just because of how bad his team is and how I just don't think he's even in All-Star conversations this year at all. But I'm going to put him as a solid starter. Sabonis, yeah, I think he gets double doubles every single night pretty much, and so he's an All-Star for me. And he gets triple doubles. He's getting more triple doubles this season than he ever has, and so he's an All-Star for me. Colin Sexton is a borderline All-Star for me, just because I think he deserves an All-Star this year. But I don't think he might not get it. That's the only reason I'm putting him in borderline All-Star. I just don't think he's necessarily as like a definite All-Star yet. Ben Simmons, I almost want to put him in like borderline All-Star because he's not doing great this season, but I think he will probably definitely be an All-Star, and he's a decent player at least. But I think he's just kind of, him being in trade talks has kind of had him being less effective than normal this year. Jayden Tatum, he's the best player on the Celtics team. That's all I have to say, really. I know some people are trying to make the argument that Jaylen Brown's better than Jason Tatum, but in my opinion, Jason Tatum can be a number one on a championship team, whereas Jaylen Brown, I can't see him being a number one on a championship team, but I can see him being a great number two. And for that reason, that's why I think that the Celtics team could win a championship potentially with these two players leading their team. Miles Turner, I might be a little bit biased. I almost want to put him in borderline All-Star just because I'm that biased, but I'm not going to be that biased in this video. And so, yeah, I think he's a solid starter. He runs our defense, and when Miles Turner wasn't in our game against the Mavericks earlier this season, we struggled. He's our defensive anchor. Darius Garland, he's a good player, but oh, no, that's not Darius Garland. Oh, my gosh. I didn't see the jersey there for a second. That's P.J. Washington. He doesn't make it for me. I don't know. It's kind of the same thing as that Miles Bridges situation. Like, the Hornets team's not crazy great. And so the only person on the Hornets team that I could justify being on this list is LaMelo Ball. Kobe White, he's too young. He's great. He's good, but he doesn't make it for me just because of his age and how young he is and how unproven he is. Patrick Williams, too young, not incredibly great. I don't know if that's so English, but yeah. Zion Williamson, I'm going to put in borderline All-Star just because I don't think he's doing that great this season. If I had to choose All-Stars on who I think deserved it, Zion wouldn't make it for me. He's just not amazing on defense. I think he probably will be an All-Star event. Like he'll get to a point in his career where he's getting consistent All-Star appearances, and he probably will be an All-Star this year, in my opinion. So for that reason, he's borderline all-star for me. James Wiseman, he's not top 25 for me. He is this close to making it and to a solid start for me, but he's too young, and I keep saying he's too young, and all these people are really young. Most of these people are rookies and sophomores, but that just shows like they're unproven. Like it's hard to compare to these guys who have been in the league for so much more years than you, even though not all of them have been crazy more than you, but at least like 1 year, and 1 year is a lot when you're this young and you've only been in the league for like so many years. I don't know why Trey Young is this. Okay, wait, never mind. Okay, yeah, Trey Young. He's an all-star for me, because as much as I want to say that he doesn't deserve it this year just because of how wishy-washy he's been, he deserves it probably. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say. He deserves it. I mean, I'm not going to say he deserves it, but I think he deserves the all-star spot on this tier list. And yeah, that's my tier list. Let's see. I think I have 10, 10, 5. Okay, yeah. Coming up soon, when my finger officially heals or whatever, is fine to play basketball, we're going to be doing real-life basketball. And I just came up earlier today. I came up with a good idea for a video, and that's probably not going to come on like a weekly upload schedule. So make sure that you're aware at some point in this week for that video. It's going to be a fun video. So just be on the lookout for that video. So yeah, leave down in the comments what your thoughts on our tier list today. Leave punishments for the loser of the real life basketball video, probably coming next week. And yeah, make sure to subscribe, like, comment. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next Saturday. Peace.